Hi, and welcome to Six Figure Signature Offers, the podcast for women in business who want to create brands that become the hot tamale of their industry and sold out scalable offers that bring home the bacon without burning them out. I'm your host, online business strategist Robin Birkin. I've gone from managing 8-figure marketing budgets and big teams to creating 2 multi-six-figure businesses in part-time hours by design. If you're ready to attract Cloud9 clients in droves, sell out your scalable offers, and not bring your laptop to the beach, then welcome, let's go. Welcome back to the $1 Million Launch Series, where I am breaking down some of the recent and incredible $1 million plus launches from incredible women in online business. And today I am going to speak about Kate Northrup, who just wrapped up a launch for her online course, which netted more than $2 million. Oh, I'm so excited. So, if you didn't catch it, last week I broke down Jessie Jean's 1.2, now like up to 2.5, I'm sure, $1 million launch for her Yap on Camera challenge. I've got 2 more episodes at least coming up after this. So if you take anything away, it's that the women are having their day in online business, and I am so here for it. I hope you are here for it too. I hope you believe that a rising tide lifts all ships, and that this is such great news for women in online business because it shows that it is so possible. It shows that there are so many different pathways and ways to amplify your launches, get more sales, run your online business. And I hope that you also believe when you see that these women are having such epic and incredible launches that there is limitless abundance to go around. So the disclaimer is that I am not actually part of any of these programs, but it is me looking and taking away insights as someone who is from the outside looking in at information that they have shared in their launches by looking at their sales pages and absolutely cheering these women on from the outside. So Kate Northrup just wrapped up a launch for her online course, which is, I think, her signature offer, which is called Relaxed Money. And she posted a launch review on her podcast. So if you want to listen straight from the horse's mouth at what she has to say, I will include that in the show notes below. But I really want to share the stories of these launches, the insights and the takeaways as someone who has worked in marketing, advertising, sales for more than 25 years and who speaks all the time about launching, about lead generation, about online courses, because that's exactly what we do inside the Peace and Profit Mastermind. That's exactly what I'm doing all day long with my clients. So Kate Northrup, she just wrapped up a launch for her Relaxed Money online course. And here are some of the top line stats. She made $2 million. She had 32,000 webinar registrants, and she spent $100,000 on Meta ads. Here are my insights and my takeaways. Number 1, something like 30% of people who take the original course re-enroll for another round for a discount. Now, if you didn't listen to my last episode about Jessie Jean, you will see that Jessie Jean is almost doing a very similar thing, or I predict that she will. And so 291 people re-enrolled. So that is a way that she can continue to essentially be paid to keep refreshing and updating the curriculum without feeling resentful that she has to continually provide like a lifetime of curriculum updates for people, that how she can increase her spend per customer or her customer lifetime value. And it's one of the easiest ways to generate more revenue in your business because these are people who already know you. They already trust you. They've already invested with you before and had a great experience and a great result. So it's actually a really, really easy way to then build up revenue in your business again. And that would have been revenue that would have been able to fund, for example, her Meta ads, pay for affiliates, because in affiliate advertising, I'll speak more to her affiliate strategy in a minute. In affiliate advertising, you're paying out quite a lot back to your affiliates. So you need to have like sales in the door to at least feel like you have the ability to be able to do that. So consider whether in your online course, in what it is that you provide, whether you are adding or giving lifetime access when it isn't really required, or whether you are starting to feel resentful and tethered to providing, continual updates when you could just keep people rolling through with renewals and rolling through again. I had a client, Revi, who ran a 4 or 6 week fitness challenge. She gave people a little extra access to catch up in the modules, and then she would re-invite people back into the next round with a discount as alumni. I have another client, Mel. She runs a program for people who are wanting to create art that feels like them, that brings out their inherent artistic archetype. And she does the same thing. We re-invite her alumni back again. So instead of having to create a whole new continuity program, sometimes, often, especially when there is an element of community and accountability at stake, you can just invite people to keep rolling through the community with renewals or with re-signing back into the program. As someone who runs a mastermind, that is obviously at the core of what I do as well. Many of my clients will stay for between 18 months to 2 years inside the mastermind. And it's a very easy way, again, to run a business that you feel good about continually updating, because your warmest, dreamiest leads, they don't cost a lot of money, are continually invited to go back through the curriculum at a reduced rate. So again, thinking to how you can optimize customer lifetime value is always going to be such a high return on investment activity, and re-enrolling your original cohorts or past cohorts back through the program is a great way, an easy, low lift way to do that. Number 2 takeaway, it's all about leads. I would suggest that many of Kate's alumni didn't even enroll in her webinar and that they were very low lift sales. But if you just look at those webinar registration numbers, it's a great cost per lead. And that no doubt comes from Kate also having exceptionally large audience and an exceptionally large and great affiliate network. She would have had so many organic signups because of that. But by far, one of the biggest levers you can pull in your business is continuing to build leads, and the marriage between both organic content that converts and paid advertising. Hands down, you need to master lead generation. If you are someone who wants 50 or 100 people in your launches and you want to create that in the next 12 months, the number one skill that you need to build in your business, and this is the number one thing that I support my clients with in the mastermind, is lead generation and arguably getting leads into conversion events. Interestingly, in the podcast episode, Kate also mentions that one of her friends just spent a cool $3 million on ads for her launch. If you calculated 20% of your total revenue and put that towards ads, what would that work out at? And that is where I would start, is your top line revenue, reinvest 20% back in to building that snowball. Even if you are right now earning, let's say $10,000 per month, if you reinvest 20%, that means you are spending like $2,000 per month on meta ads. And that is the way that you snowball a business, is by reinvesting in your growth, right? So thinking to that level of ad spend and that level of lead generation is exactly how she was able to get that result. So every month, every year that you are not doubling down on your lead generation and getting the types of numbers that you require for things like webinars is another month and another year that you are going to be stuck in probably exactly the same space that you are. If nothing changes, and leads are probably one of the most important things you can do. So at a guess, Kate Northrup mentions that more than 18,500 of her leads of the 32,000 came from affiliates. So affiliate launches are really big for some of the big names, especially if they only launch once a year or twice a year. I used to run affiliate launches, and what I found with affiliate launches is that they are almost like a launch in and of themselves. So when you want to run an affiliate launch, it's really important that you have people who have large audiences that are engaged, that sign up, that click and do what they want. But you also need to run this, I guess, machine. You need to tell them how to promote. You need to be running tally boards of this is how many signups this person has had. You need to provide bonuses and prizes and, all of these things alongside that. So it can be almost like running two launches at the very same time. They are very labor intensive. Yes, they do have a payoff, but they also have huge payouts. So you are constantly pushing your affiliates to promote your offer. If you only have people in your affiliate networks who have small offers, the juice is probably not going to be worth the squeeze, but you're also paying out to everyone. So let's say that your online program is $2,000. You are going to be providing usually about 40% of the revenue from that online course to the affiliate that the lead originally came from. So instantly, if you have a $2,000 online course, when you have affiliates, you're going to be paying out $800 to that affiliate. So you're only going to be bringing in about $1,200. But what's also going to happen if you run a big affiliate launch is you're going to do things like the top person on the leaderboard first prize gets $100,000 as an example. Right? So that's why they have this incentive to do that. And you'll see at the moment, James Wedmore is running a launch. He typically only launches once a year with a big launch. It's affiliate based. It's very much the OG way of launching when they have these big online courses that they, only launch very periodically. So you will see that he has a lot of big names like Kate Northrup, like Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zenkina. They're all promoting his program. The benefit of being an affiliate for someone else is that you get to do all of the marketing and promotion. So it can fill a gap in your promotional calendar where it's not something that is directly competing with your offer, but is something that your audience would like. They get to benefit from your trust and endorsement of that offer. You get to get paid, but you don't have to do any of the delivery or the curriculum updates. So that's kind of cool. She had a huge number of affiliates in her launch. Personally, I would prefer to essentially pay double for my Facebook ads than manage affiliates. At a guess in terms of leads, I would guess that the balance was something along the lines of maybe 6,750 webinar signups from her organic audience, given that her audience and her email list would be so big. And I want to normalize that figure. 18,500 came from affiliates, 6,500 might have come from her own email list, and then 6,750 might have come from ads. So the organic audience that you already have, sure, they may buy your offers and things like that, but the things that will get you over the line usually are either affiliates or ads, right? So if you're posting organically, and then you're like, why isn't my email list, signing up in the numbers that I thought they would? I want to really normalize that. A lot of them are going to sign up through ads, even if they are organic signups. So if that were to be the case, which again, absolute speculation, that means she paid roughly $14.80 per lead to get people to sign up for her webinar. The next thing, pivoting. A lot of people think that you launch and you put out a sales page and you put out a webinar page and then you just roll with it, and then people don't sign up and you're like, wow, I'm going to cry over spilt milk, and the cookie just crumbles in that way. No, the majority of people who are launching pivot in some way mid-launch, right? So not everything everyone does hits it straight out of the gate first time around, even people who have $2 million launches. So Kate Northrup said that her landing page converted at 31% initially, and she then spent hours revising the webinar page to make it convert higher. And she is someone who has trust in the market, and a 31% sign up on a registration page actually isn't that bad. So this is where she's data focused. She's not waiting till the end of the launch to see what's happening. She's not spiraling, but she spent hours and arguably would have had systems in place to make some parts of the launch quite rinse and repeat, formulaic, planned out in advance, so that she had time to say, okay, this is one bottleneck as part of the launch. Let's fix that. And it then ended up converting at 81%, which is amazing. This may mean that initially she was paying something like $30 cost per lead. She made those edits, and that's what brought her cost per lead right down. So don't think that anyone, even $1 million business owners, just effortlessly puts things out there and they turn to glitter all of the time. No, a lot of the time behind the scenes, they're tweaking their messaging, editing parts of the funnel that aren't working, and obviously they're data driven and looking at the data through the launch to see what's happening. The next one is the Relaxed Money 90-day roadmap. So Kate also ran a 3-day challenge as part of her launch, and day 1 had her highest attendees on the call. But then day 3, she reported that she also had a large number of people on the call. And typically it would be like day 1 is the top number of people, day 2 it drops off, day 3 it drops off even more, but she saw an uptick on day 3 instead. And this is because she believes, which I also agree, of something she called the 90-day Relaxed Money roadmap, which I think is an AI tool and was a live show up bonus, which gives people a personalized and customized 90-day money map leveraging AI. And Kate spoke to giving the market what they want, and clearly this showcasing that it was something that people wanted, whether that was because it delivered a personal result, almost like a quiz, whether that was because it was an AI tool, which are obviously something that is quite popular at the moment. Kate also, though, mentioned that she wonders whether this reduced the conversion rate on the launch. So there's always a delicate balance when you're launching. So very much so in the early days when we used to launch something like a webinar, it was primarily about the belief shifts, right? We are there to belief shift. We're not there to deliver any of the how-to. That is not how 2026 really works these days. 2026 works in a very much a different way, that you should give some of the how-to and the value. We really want to show people behind the scenes of our process and how we work. Likewise, you want to, in 2026, be offering things like show up bonuses, because if you don't, you might have like a 5% show up rate and struggle to get people to watch the replay. You don't want to do that. In 2026, we want show up bonuses, and we want to give show up bonuses that people want, not just like, oh, here's a cool thing. So if you had a show up bonus that was so valuable that people were like, oh my God, I want this just as much or even more so than the training that I'm about to watch, they're going to show up live. The delicate tightrope that you have to walk, though, is that whatever you have as a show up bonus, as your webinar content, challenge content, whatever it is, has to not satiate their need enough that they think, oh, well, I'm just going to go away and chew on this, implement this instead of joining the program. What it should do is leave them thinking, that was awesome. This person is awesome. If this is just a taste of what is in this program, I need to join because I also still have this very big and real problem to solve. Like, it is such a tightrope that you have to walk in your business. But if you leave people satiated, if you give people all of the answers, or not even if you give them all of the answers, if people think you've given them a to-do list or some of the answers for them to try, they're much more unlikely to join your program. And it's a downside for everyone when that happens, because you and I both know that you could probably talk for hours and hours and still there would be more for them to learn. That in the space of 1 hour or in the space of one free show up bonus, it's actually very unlikely that someone is going to get the full result. So they're getting a disservice because it's not going to work fully in the way that they think it is, but you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not going to get the sale. So even $1 million entrepreneurs have this issue with the tightrope. What this may do, however, for her is, I speak about this, I think, at the end, but she has already committed. Her team were exhausted. So I'm told after this launch that she's decided she's not going to even launch again until 18 months later. That's how big these type of launches are. But even people with this level of skill, this level of team, all of this still wrestle with this. But this might be the thing that then, if she were to launch again 90 days later, maybe this would be something that would increase conversions the next time around if she were to play a longer game. Who knows? The next thing is that they were still building out resources mid-launch. So they came off another event and back to back went into this launch, right? So one lesson there is that she's not launching once a year and then that's once and done. She claps her hands and says, ha ha ha, okay, work for the year's done. Let's all go on holiday and never do anything again. It may seem when someone has a signature offer, there's this one big launch event, but almost every entrepreneur that you know is running other things, maybe behind the scenes, maybe in other ways, like other people's affiliate launches throughout the year. They're continually bringing in revenue from other sources in different ways, in different avenues behind the scenes. So they came off another event, they went back to back into this launch. And the takeaway here is that even 7-figure entrepreneurs with big teams are sometimes chasing their tails. And again, she's decided now not to launch until October 2027. The next one, bonuses. I will speak about bonuses until the cows come home. I spoke about it in the last episode as well. But see how Kate has really stacked the bonuses in her offer suite to build out the value. Across the sales page, she's continually coming back to the value of the program and building out the value of the program, building it out through bonuses and a really epic bonus stack. You want to have your bonuses. If someone looked at your bonus stack, sometimes you want people to look at that and think that they would almost purchase your program just for the epic bonuses that you have included in it. So consider where you can increase the value of your offer through your bonus suite. Again, where you can, especially listen to last episode, especially if you want to overcome objections. Your bonus suite is one of the most valuable pieces of real estate that you have to do that. And then continually build out the value of your program and show that value as people go down the sales page so they can kind of see it in real time and process in their brains. The next one is program price and conversion rate. Her offer is $3,000 and it's direct to cart. If I take a complete stab in the dark, it would be so interesting to know the exact statistics to know how far or close I am off the mark. But if I take a stab in the dark and let's say she had 291 alumni sales, let's say that they were at $2,000, that would mean about 450 to 500 sales came from new people in the program. And that's really interesting because then you will see that let's say she had 800 people total, well, 300 of those were repeat sales. So a large number of the people who in total joined her program came from repeat sales. That would mean a conversion rate from webinar registrants to sales of 1.48%. And remembering that a large number of those webinar registrants came from affiliates. So there is that added level of social proof, endorsement. A lot of times when you have affiliates, so let's say that I'm affiliating for you. You have a $2,000 online course. Then if I'm part of your launch and your affiliate, I might say, when you sign up to your program through my affiliate link, I'm also going to give you this whole mini course of mine. I'm also going to run a special alumni group for this. So typically affiliates will also be adding more and more and more value. So there is this added level of trust and conversion sometimes from affiliates. But 1.48% is a totally standard conversion rate. It's 32,000 webinar registrants. That's awesome for $100,000 meta ad spend. And 1.48% is completely congruent with launching an offer to primarily a cold audience. That's pretty great and standard. A lot of you are looking at people like Jessie Jean, right? Looking at their launches, looking at how they've absolutely caught fire, having all of these incredible and epic results, and then having potentially the misaligned expectation that you should be entitled to have a 15% conversion rate. You should be able to build a $2.5 million business in 6 months. And the reality is that, like, if I look at Kate's launch, I'm like, this is probably much more in line with what would be a standard result, right? Does that mean that it's not possible for you to have a launch like Jessie Jean's? No way. If it's possible for her, it's possible for you. But when I look at Kate Northrup's launch, I'm like, yes, let's normalize these statistics. Let's normalize the work involved in a launch. Let's normalize the number of leads required for a webinar. Let's normalize a conversion rate from a webinar of like 1.5% from a cold audience. I'm very much like, this is the normal launch. You don't have to have a $2 million launch, but if you looked at your statistics, you're like, okay, well, let's say I am marketing to a cold audience, which a cold audience is people who don't really know you. You might be primarily intaking them through meta ads. You're launching to a cold audience. You're probably going to want a program that is $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in order to be able to make back a reasonable return on investment from meta ads. And if you looked at, okay, well, if I had a $10 to $15 cost per lead for a webinar and I had a 1.5% conversion rate, how many people would I need on that webinar and how much would I need to spend on meta ads? That's a realistic picture. And then I also hope, though, that this provides you with hope that you can incrementally grow and grow and grow in your business. Right, I've got 2 more things to say on this launch. Number 1 is the guarantee and the payment plan. Kate has a 6-month money back guarantee. 6 months. Money back guarantees are not something you should ever feel scared about offering. They are a way for your course or group program participants to feel good and safe with the investment that they are making. And especially when we are in a season when lots of people have been burned by people in the online world, if it is something that doesn't involve direct one-to-one time, then we can have that risk reversal as part of our sales process. A lot of people feel terrified, like, oh my God, and then what if people, like if I sell 8 places, what if all 8 people do me dirty and they're just in it to scam me and they're just here to like join, download all my resources for free and then bounce and get a refund? And what if I've invested money in Facebook ads? I want to reassure you that you will, at some point, if you haven't already, you will have people submit refund requests. You may have a very, very, very tiny number of people who sign up to your program with the full intention of downloading some resources and then bouncing. But by and large, the vast majority of people don't do that. They're signing up because they want the outcome and the transformation that you have to offer. And this is just a way for them to feel safe and reassured that this is a good investment of their money. I've sold like 15, 20 places in my online course and had like 2 or 3 people refund. I've also sold 45 to 50 places and had not a single person refund. It is by and large not the norm at all. And when you don't have a refund policy. And it's something, again, that doesn't physically require time. So in the mastermind, for example, I provide a 60-minute deep dive call. I provide a strategy session and document for everyone. There is hard time involved. In my one-to-one practice, what I usually say is like, if after the first session, we're both not feeling it, we'll just deduct a fee for that first session and you can let out of the contract, right? But in the mastermind, I don't provide a refund because they've come into my community, they've had access to very high proximity value things, then had opportunity to have that one-to-one time with me. But whenever I've had something like an online course where it's primarily the community or unlimited capacity group calls, I always have a refund policy in there. Typically, it is either 7 days or 14 days, no questions asked. At one point when I had an online course, I used to say complete modules 1 and modules 2 and send them back to me to show that you've done the work. And then people would always request a refund, not do the work. Then I would have to go back and say, well, you need to do the module to show you've done the work. They would write the most basic answers in there and then send it to me. And it felt very performative, knowing that I was going to give them the refund anyway. So I let it go. If you had something like a 6-month money back guarantee, I probably would require them to do some work or show that they'd watched the modules. And I, from memory, think that Kate does that, but that's how she's able to offer a 6-month money back guarantee. And it's probably going to, let's say, for example, one person refunds, it probably though netted her another 5 sales for every one refund. So it would have been worth it, right? For that risk reversal and that safety and reassurance and added conversion. The other thing is that she has a 12-month payment plan. She also added, like it said on the sales page, full year of live support just added. I dare say that one or both of these were released in the last 48 hours of the launch. It's a very common launch technique that you will get towards the end of your launch. You will have a look at how sales are going. You will have a look at the biggest objections people have. And when you're offering an extended payment plan, they can be very much appropriate in 2026, and especially in the market right now. I've seen Amy Porterfield have an 18-month payment plan before, but you're only going to offer them right at the end of your launch because you want the majority of people who are going to sign up anyway to sign up to either pay in full or to the normal payment plan, which is usually going to be 3 or 6 months. So it's only for those last people, the stragglers at the end who are like, do I, don't I, but cash. So that's typically what you're going to do. So I would suggest that potentially that's her looking at her data or maybe intending to release that payment plan right at the end anyway, and not releasing it right at the beginning of the launch, releasing that again towards the end of the launch after the majority of people who were already keen to join have already done so. She's already got cash in the door. And then this is just picking up some of the last stragglers at the end of the program. So here's a few of my biggest takeaways from her launch. Number 1, invest in audience growth. One of the biggest levers that you can pull, if you take anything away from Kate Northrup, if you take anything away from the last episode, audience growth is one of the biggest levers you have to pull and probably one of the number one things that you are neglecting. You need to learn how to run meta ads, or you need to be able to generate organically a very large organic Instagram following. It's all a leads game, baby, not followers, leads. You want leads and traction in what you are doing. My other takeaway is that I didn't even hear Kate mention a lead magnet. Didn't even hear it. And I do think lead magnets have a place in 2026, but I'm seeing a lot more people just straight up bringing people through into conversion events like webinars and challenges. The next one, do not make yourself wrong for having a 1% to 2% conversion rate. That is normal, and that is especially normal if you are selling to cold traffic and not warm traffic. And then the very last one is that even 7-figure business owners pivot in launches, creating things on the go. So you are completely normal if you are running a launch and you're like, oh gosh, golly gosh, I'm still like putting this together and it feels like a little bit rushed. That's completely normal. I mean, that said, she probably had a lot of the pieces of the puzzle, her emails, etc., were probably all pre-written and ready to go, just with a few minor tweaks in the launch. So there is definitely a place for systems, but there is and should always be a place for pivoting, last minute edits, and responding to the market as she did. So again, I am celebrating another woman in online business who has just had an epic launch result. I've got 2 more episodes at least to go. I hope you are loving this series. I hope it is super valuable. Can't wait to catch you for the next one.